If productivity automatically feels like stress and pressure and you start to try and resist it, you are stuck in a stress drive loop, and it's not your fault. My name is Elyssa Smith. I'm a trauma informed executive coach, and this is video 2 in our series, Why Consistency Feels Hard and How to Make It Sustainable. Whether you believe that stress helps you perform or you perform best under pressure, your pressure probably feels really familiar to your system and it ties it in with motivation. But your stress drive loop, that's what's going on, which I'm going to explain in just a minute. It's going to burn out your energy and your time and make it impossible for you to be consistent. So, check out what I mean. The stress drive loop. Anytime that there's outside stress or internal stress from here, maybe you're your own worst critic. If you're the responsible daughter, that is absolutely probably what you learned. So if you have stress coming at you from somewhere, internally or externally, it turns that into adrenaline. Got to change, got to accomplish something, got to meet a deadline, got to get out ahead of it, got to be the hardest worker in the room. And that, for a while, creates focus and momentum. But eventually, productivity and pressure become linked. And when your body starts to feel pressure to be productive, it starts to back off and you lose your consistency. You can't consistently accomplish goals. Your progress probably looks more like way motivated, lots of energy, spending all your time hustling, and then you lose all of that and it drops off. And then you never quite finish that project or never quite get to the important thing that you really wanted to do. Instead, you're stuck in this drama of what's urgent and then you drop off, and it's urgent and drop off. So maybe you do meet that deadline by staying up the night before, but you know it's not your best work. And this is not how you want to live your life, right? So what do? Your body thinks that I only move when the pressure is on. That's what happens to when you have an entire childhood of sort of hustling and pairing productivity and stress and motivation and pressure. So when that happens, your body also thinks when I'm calm, I stall. I don't move forward. I don't make progress. So those two things get paired. And so then you become an adult who's burning out, but actually can't go anywhere because the only way she can get somewhere is by doing the thing that burns her out. Exhausting, right? And draining. But we're going to talk about solutions here. So when your motivation drops without the pressure on, and your body internalizes that as, oh, we don't move ahead right now, and your system thinks that productivity should also drop, your body might also be secretly asking for a break. How many decades have you done the hustle and then give up, and then hustle and give up, and hustle and give up? How long have you been doing that? Because your body thinks that that is the best use for all of its cortisol and adrenaline and the things that really motivate your body to do the things that you need it to do. So the loss of momentum is just based on the conditioning. It's not because you are suddenly defective. You are backsliding in your ability to perform and being a good, high achieving, good, nice girl. It's not any of that. Long-term consistency requires safety, not adrenaline being the motivating factor. So your body has an idea of how is it allowed to perform well? Well, it needs to wait until the adrenaline spikes, the cortisol spikes, and that's when it goes hard, goes bigger, goes home. And that's when we get our stuff done. But truly, we don't have a lasting chance to make that progress over time if that is how we are motivated. What we can do instead is create an internal nervous system safety and make this a safer place. I know that you're probably, because you're your own worst critic, it feels like this is not going to be a safe place. Maybe you even try and rest and your body is resting, but your brain is still going. That is a hallmark sign of being a responsible daughter, high achiever, and that is not also not your fault. It's just how we learned how to survive what we were going through as kids. So there's no other way that you could be responding to these things, by the way, other than overworking, overanalyzing, overthinking, and getting distracted and not doing the things that we really want to be doing. So how do we stop that cycle and how do we move from a place of safety? So nervous system regulation is when your vagus nerve, your amygdala, there's a bunch of little pieces of your survival system that are in charge of scanning for threats, okay? And we want your nervous system to stop pairing stillness with not getting stuff done. We want to be able to flip-flop that and to say that actually stillness and calm is safe, and that is the place that we start to achieve from. So regulation looks like steady energy and inspiration instead of like a spike and a crash because you're like, oh, this I have this heavy obligation on me. I will never forget when I first realized cognitively that I was doing this, that I would get excited about a new goal. But the second that I was alone with that goal, it became an obligation instantly. And anything that was an obligation, my system resisted because it was so stinking tired of an entire lifetime of obligations. So if your system is anything like my poor little tired out system was, this is going to be really helpful for you. It's going to be uncomfortable at first because moving from a place of stillness and ease doesn't feel right. It feels like, uh-oh, crickets. When's the other shoe going to drop? When am I going to find out that I'm lazy because I took a break in order to get my clarity instead of pushing harder to get my clarity? So here's what we want to do. We want to interrupt the stress drive loop. Stress equals adrenaline equals motivation equals progress, right? We don't want that to be the neural pathway in our brain, right? We want to have a pathway that says goal plus calm equals motivation, progress, and inspiration. So, interrupting the loop. I want you to think about something that you usually only do with pressure or a deadline. Like I have one client right now, she's not super keen on the contract job that she has, and it's something that doesn't motivate her very much, but she didn't know that when she accepted this position. So she, the next contract position that she's looking for is going to be something that's very people facing, whereas this is very much data analysis, and she's realizing she needs to interact with people. So she's not super motivated unless there's a deadline. And in that case, she can kind of like hoist herself up and get after it. But it does cause her to use this stress drive loop because she's hustling to get that done instead of doing it from a place of inspiration. So if you don't really like what you're doing, that stress drive loop is going to come in handy until it doesn't, until you're exhausted and burned out. So we have to find a way to operate from a place of safety. So what's something that you normally only do if you're under pressure to do it, or if you feel really obligated to do it? And then I want you to tell yourself, I'm allowed to do this without urgency. It's going to feel like you really don't want to. It's going to feel like you want to go and watch a show instead. It's going to feel like you want to, if I'm supposed to be calm, I'm going to go do something. I'm going to treat myself, right? So you have to be able to equate calm, not just with totally checking out, but with checking in. So you start to think about, okay, I would normally only do this thing under pressure, but what if it's safe to do it without urgency? What would it look like to walk through this almost in slow motion, not hurry, get it done, work fast, do the obligation? And then I want you to set a 2-minute timer with a really low stakes, small step of the process. And, let's say that, I'm trying to think of a good example. So if your job is to write something, and submit a proposal, let's say you're submitting a proposal for a client that you're going to work with or to your boss for the next project. And that sounds like such a daunting task. And what you really are thinking about doing is going and watching a movie instead, or going, and laying down and scrolling on your phone for hours instead. Here's what I want you to do. You say, okay, it's safe to do this without a deadline. It's safe to do this without urgency. And then you set a 2-minute timer and you create the smallest baby step that feels doable. And in that 2-minute timer, you try and get that step done. And then you stop at the end of the timer. And what this does, no matter how far you get on that task, you stop. It's going to feel really like, like if you're a go-getter, if you're somebody that is driven, this is going to feel really weird. But you just stop and you leave it there. And then you might even have to just give yourself like a nice big hug. Like you might have to hold yourself and be like, it feels really uncomfortable to stop in the middle after just 2 minutes. But what we need to learn, what we have to teach our nervous systems as adults is it is okay and safe to just do a little bit right now, because we're not under a deadline. We're not under pressure. So we're going to do a little bit. And this is how you build consistency over time, is you show your system that you didn't die when you did that. It literally thinks that you are going to die. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, man. Like that is where procrastination and distraction and losing your motivation, that's where all that stuff comes from, is from this idea, we're going to die unless we do things a certain way that we're used to, which is the hustle and the grind and the stress drive loop. So When stress creates action as opposed to safety creating sustainable action, that stress action isn't going to last. It's going to take away your total chance at consistency. So we want our bodies to learn movement and progress can happen without adrenaline. And it's like building a muscle. It's going to feel really uncomfortable at first when you push yourself to sit and to do a tiny piece of the project or to do a little bit and then to sit back and make sure that your system feels good. And then you move forward with the next 2 minutes. Then you move forward with the next 2 minutes. And you might not want to do 2 minutes. You might want to do 5. You might want to do 10. But start out with baby steps that feel doable and then sit with it and practice working from a place that's not frantic. In next week's video, I'm going to show you how to build consistency using nervous system cues so that your follow through doesn't actually depend on the stress drive loop or the pressure that you usually put on yourself. So if this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe, share this with somebody and if you are a woman and you're interested in doing some more nervous system safety, you can download my free guide for women, 5 nervous system hacks you can do at your desk. We will see you back here next week with the next installment. And until then, take such good care of yourself.